Jordan Peterson is a man who speaks his mind online. He is a very controversial figure right now, and his views don't always sit well with those who consume his media. In recent years, he has shown off some of his very specific ideals, and many just want to know why he thinks them. So stay tuned to today's video as we discuss Jordan Peterson's most controversial ideas explained and expanded. Number 5. White privilege doesn't exist. According to Jordan Peterson, white privilege doesn't exist. The environment you're raised in definitely has a profound effect on both your psychology and opportunities in life, and it shouldn't even really be a debatable issue. However, in Peterson's world, it definitely is, as he considers white privilege to be non-existent. After going through multiple categories from economic status, age, health, wealth, and so on, Jordan Peterson calls race and ethnicity postmodernist. He constantly attacks one woman's views on white privilege, saying how her paper was not subject to scrutiny or peer review. Currently, his own scrutiny turns white privilege into majority privilege. From his perspective, in China, the dominant race is Chinese, and the culture is built to suit them. This also applies to Canada, America, and the UK, since whites happen to be the vast majority there, so the culture is suited for them. Whoever the culture is built for in a certain area is defaulted to have privilege. This is the case as the construction of the society would not have been worth it in the first place if it didn't benefit the dominant race. Number 4. The left and identity politics. Jordan Peterson uses multiple examples of people who are conservative thinkers that defined political boundaries, from William Buckley to Ben Shapiro. They say that racial superiority is not an option, and not the fringe right does not represent conservative values at all. He continues to say that the left does not know its boundaries and that there is no box to tick that states that you've gone too far. This is one of the times where he is pretty on point, as liberalism is most certainly destroying itself. A huge example of this was the Abolish ICE movement. The current situation around the US and Mexican border is very tragic and frightening, especially to those of us who care about basic human rights. But it's clear that there is an agency responsible for much more than just these incidents. Another massive example of this was Matt Damon receiving backlash last year. This was said on the matter. There's a difference between patting someone on the butt and rape or child molestation. The actor even qualified it by stating that both should be confronted. His original sentiment is so obvious that debating it seems ludicrous. Exactly Peterson's point. The willful unconcern for coherence is dangerous, yet many liberals don't seem to be taking it seriously. Number 3. On the existence of God. There is one word that does not appear in Jordan Peterson's book, The End of Faith, and that's the word atheism. However, this did not stop the public from labeling him as an atheist, as a person who attacks the Bible must not believe in God in the slightest. Peterson pointed out that such a binary decision is very unfair whether you believe in God or not. Belief and God are very generic terms that attempt to create meaning from the impossible. There are many talks online about religion and the Bible from Jordan Peterson, so check a few of those out if you want to hear his opinion on the existence of God. All we need to know is that he thinks there isn't a straight line between faith and belief or God itself. Blind faith is also a big issue for Peterson, as he strips away and tries to uncover something that is valuable within religious literature. He wants to understand these literature pieces without turning to blind faith and becoming a religious man himself. Number 2. Gay parents raising children. Peterson begins this by declaring the devil is in the details, then cites the fact that kids in a family with a father do better than single-parent families. I believe quite firmly, he continues, that the nuclear family is the smallest viable human unit: father, mother, child. If you fragment it below that, you end up paying, he continues. He cites Warren Farrell and Jack Panksepp's effective neuroscience. He discusses rough and tumble play. Fathers and children push each other's limits to find out where they are. If juvenile male rats don't tussle, you can treat it with Ritalin. And wait, what was the question? 3.5 minutes into this 4.5-minute video, he finally gets to the gay family, for the first time recalling that yes, women are parents too. Treating gay families in a postmodernist fashion is gerrymandering questions without facing moral responsibilities. And look, here's the continual problem with Peterson. Many children come from broken homes. Often it's the father, sometimes it's the mother. We have to consider that maybe it's simply hard to research long-term data on gay families because it's only been about 2 decades since homosexuals were broadly accepted. There are plenty of politicians that would gladly overturn gay marriage and homosexual couples adopting children. Peterson misses the most basic, primary, and humane element of this entire conversation. 2 people in love can do incredible things, including raising children, regardless of gender. Without that love, everything crumbles. The absurdity of the question is only surpassed by the inanity of the response. Finally, number 1. The Me Too movement. One of the biggest trends and movements in modern time is, of course, the Me Too movement. This is a movement based around women and men coming out about their experiences from many years past, whether they are based around sexual or just general harassment. The vast majority of these cases come from women who recall events from 15 or 20 years ago and try to speak out about them all now. This movement is very healthy for those involved, but some see as pretty stupid, especially Peterson. He said this on the matter: whilst he doesn't hate the movement completely, he definitely has his own opinions, so let's get into it. Peterson goes on to say that since the early 60s, there have been sexual behavior that can be rule-free. A lot of this was created as a consequence from the birth control pill, as it was a massive biological revolution at the time. All of a sudden, women can control their reproductive ability, but in principle, what does that make these women? Now that they have their own new biological identity and it's so wide open, they don't know what women are anymore. He does draw the line between sexual invitation and harassment, as that question needs to be asked at the time. It might be to do with a fragile ego, all just that the woman doesn't want anything. The idea of people coming forward after events from 15 to 20 years ago is definitely a new thing for Peterson, as he still tries to wrap his head around it during interviews. Jordan Peterson definitely has his many views on current world situations, and whether you believe him or not, you can just tell his passion about it all. The one thing many can agree with from Peterson's views is the idea of men's mental health. He is a massive advocate for talking about mental health issues and men being open about them. From talking about suicide prevention to depression in constant interviews, he is always referring to men's mental health. In fact, to talk more about men's mental health, he is very open about his own, as in multiple interviews he has been seen depressed and crying with those asking him questions. Peterson is definitely a very passionate man and knows what he believes in and what he doesn't. We know some of his viewers are a little crazy and some of them are pretty correct, but that's like a lot of people in the world right now. If you do want to learn more about mental health and understand a man's perspective, please check out Jordan Peterson's interviews on it, as he is a wonderful man when it comes to this topic. That's all we have for Jordan Peterson's views in today's video. This has been a pretty crazy video, as each section goes into some pretty deep and fitting topics for current times. Peterson is a very political man who wants to uncover the truth and get his thoughts out there. He feels like a lot of these issues are just stupid and don't talk the correct truths. No matter if you believe him or not, you can just tell that he is a man who believes his word wholeheartedly. Jordan Peterson is one of the most political and popular men on the internet right now, as his views reach many across the world. He is constantly in interviews on social media talking about different topics at the time. However, just like many political, uncontroversial figures right now, many of his views are completely wrong and many disagree with him. Just like how he recently attacked Elliot Page for changing gender and his name. Many completely disagree with Peterson's ideology. But let us know what you think down in the comment section below, as we would love to see your thoughts on Jordan Peterson. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know down in the comment section below? It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye!